There it is. That's the theme tune.
That's the theme tune. Hello and welcome to the A Place to Hang Your Cape monthly podcast, which still needs a real name of its own. I am your host, David Malofsky, editor and cape of A Place to Hang Your Cape. With me, as always, is my co-host and video hero, Will, the man who hates Guardians of the Galaxy Webb.
Yep, I fully own that. In fact, I'm working on a video about how much I hate Guardians of the Galaxy right now. So. Awesome.
So this week, or this month, I guess, we're going to be talking about CW superheroes. The premiere of Legends of Tomorrow was this week, so we're sort of plugging that and going to have some fun. Will, you ready?
It's born ready, yeah.
All right. So before we get into all the awesome CW stuff, I thought we could talk about a couple of big pieces of superhero news that came out this week.
Yeah, shoot.
So first one was the new posters and trailer for Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
What did you think of the trailer? Are you excited for this film?
The trailer I really liked a lot. I feel like they sat there in the boardroom when they were planning the trailer and they were like, let's do something kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy-y. Which I don't like, as you might know. But I think the trailer itself was really good, and I think it really suited the whole deal as well. Like, it really worked for the tone of Suicide Squad. I just watched Batman Assault on Arkham Asylum, which is the animated
one, yeah.
That Suicide Squad, and that was really cool. That was something that was like super hit, really like excited me for this, and I think their characterization is going to be something similar to that. Which is hit.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that because I really enjoyed that movie too. I thought as a trailer though, this really worked. Like the way that they used Bohemian Rhapsody, that was just on point. Like the
little gunshots synced in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I loved it. And I also thought the new posters are really cool because they're different from posters that we usually get. They're not just the faces, or
I liked it. But it did look a lot like that kind of like minimalist poster, like fan art trend. So I was like,
yeah, but at least it wasn't, like the same as it always is. At least it's different.
I'm sure they didn't mean for it to be that transparent, but I think it was. So
yeah, absolutely. So the other big news, I think it just happened. I found out about it this morning. Is Stephen Moffat is leaving Doctor Who?
Yeah, that was just announced yesterday, I think, but it was kind of like hit the news today.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm a big Moffat fan, so I feel like people are a little bit overly harsh on it, but he has been consistently lower in quality for the last series or so. Actually, I think this series is quite good, but I thought the series before and the one before that was like seriously middling.
Yeah, I think that the first Capaldi series was pretty low. This one, I haven't even gotten all the way through it yet, to be honest, but
this series I really liked. I thought it was really good. But what he wanted to do, I think, is now finished, and it's like he's overstayed his welcome a little bit.
Yeah, I think that he should have gone when Matt Smith went. I think that if you're bringing in Capaldi, you need a new flavor for the show as a whole.
But I mean, Chibnall's got a bit of a mixed past with his Doctor Who episodes. Some of them I really like 42, the Hungry Earth, Cold Blood, the Silurian ones, and the Matt Smith series. I also like the Cubes one, The Power of Three, which no one seems to like, but I think it's cool.
Which one was that?
But he has written some bad stuff. The one with the little cubes that invade Earth,
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's cool.
It's all right.
But, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah,
he wrote some really good Torchwood as well, so.
Yeah, I mean, mostly I'm just happy that, to get something new and fresh. Whatever it is, at least it won't be the same Moffat that we've sort of gotten used to, and I think we know what to expect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you on that one 100%. I think it's going to be really cool.
All right.
So at least we're getting onto something new.
Yes, exactly. So should we move into the meat and potatoes of today topic? I don't know.
I don't know why it's stalling so much. I'm ready. I was born to do it. I just
all right.
Watching the Flash.
So tell me so for those who don't know, because none of you know, Will has only just started watching The Flash. I think when we recorded our first episode last month, that was the first time that he had watched the new CW Flash, and a month later he's all caught up or just finished season 1?
I just finished season 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
How about we go in chronological order?
Chronological order.
Fan of Green Arrow and shit.
Okay.
Arrow, whatever you want. the Hood.
Arrow.
I would love to find out more about what you think about that, because I don't like that at all.
So Arrow started, it's in its 4th season now. So when it started, it was right after Smallville ended, or about a year after Smallville ended, and I was really ready for a new superhero show. And I got really excited because I really loved the Justin Hartley version of the character in Smallville. So I love Arrow. I think that, it's got its faults, but as a dark show, it's basically as a Batman show, because that's what it is. It's pretty good. And, I think that it's at least done something very, not to keep going back to like new and different, but it would distinguish itself significantly from Smallville and a lot of the other sort of lighter toned superhero shows that came before. You don't seem convinced. You think it's the same flavor?
I feel like
same thing?
I feel like it's very visually similar, and I feel like it, in a lot of its tone, although it kind of pretends at darkness, it's kind of like early Torchwood, when it was like, it's like Doctor Who but dark. When it really turned out, it was like Doctor Who, but for like 14-year-olds instead of 12-year-olds. Like, it was kind of like Scooby-Doo, but with bisexuals. I feel like it's more like that, because even like the scary villains in it don't really have any bites. And that's something that I want to get on with the rest of the CW shows as well, because I think they all kind of fall under the same problem. Well, I just finished watching The Flash.
Okay.
Right? So The Flash came along afterwards, and The Flash is a much more like consciously light kind of like superhero
Absolutely.
show. It's much more fun. Even more so than the kind of like somewhat forced comic relief sometimes in the Arrow series. But the thing that really gets me about it is that both of them are kind of hamstrung by the fact that they have to be 23 episodes long every season. Mm-hmm. And they have to stretch not only their plot, which is not worth that. To be honest, they're not even sometimes worth 16 episodes. But they have to stretch their bloody... they have to stretch their production budgets as well. So you get that superhero thing that's like building up to a fight every couple of episodes. And one thing that surprised me about The Flash was that they actually managed to avoid that a lot of the time, mostly through quite conservative use of like the powers. They'd only put like a really CGI heavy power every couple of episodes, which is useful. It makes it easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even like the way that they do Grodd, it's so shadowy that you don't really need it to be like the top of the line CGI. Although I'm not saying that Grodd is perfect. I'm just saying that by keeping him in the shadows, they hid some of what was wrong. I
think they did pretty much as good as you're ever going to get Grodd in a
TV show. Yeah, at least it wasn't just a guy in a suit.
Give it that. Yeah, well, it wasn't a guy in the suit on the rest of it, right? Like, they never did one in the 1990s show. They never did Grodd.
No, they didn't. I don't think Grodd has ever been done live action before.
I like Grodd. I mean, he's a good bad guy. I actually think one of the problems of the show really is that the Grodd that they do isn't as interesting as the Grodd in the books.
Right, and again, you haven't gotten to his appearance in the 2nd season, which I think is moving him closer to that iteration, but I won't spoil it too much.
Well, I'm just Googling it now.
All right. Do you want me to just tell you about it?
Well, I'm just reading about Earth 2. Like, what?
Yeah. So Earth 2 is a thing.
Really? Jesus Christ. They really chose to do the important stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So when does Earth 2 come in? It comes in
the first episode of season 2, yeah. They did some pretty cool stuff with it. It ends up playing a bit like the Phantom Zone did in Smallville, where it's just like another place for them to pull bad guys from that wasn't just the Meteor Freaks. So now it's not just the whatever freaks, what's the thing, the big circular thing that there's the thing that exploded in the very first episode. It gave everyone their powers.
The big thing. Yeah, the particle accelerator.
Particle accelerator. I knew it started with a P. Yeah, so instead of like all of them having the same particle accelerator origin, it's the same as like the Phantom Zone played in Smallville. So
I think that's dumb. I think it's pretty dumb.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my feeling on it. Like, I feel like weird writing.
They've done some kind of clever things with it, especially with having like people's doppelgangers from the other world come in. So like characters.
But one thing.
What?
Like my plus on this whole thing has been basically that watching The Flash has been that actually I thought I didn't like the CW shows for the tone overall, but actually what I found is that I really prefer a lighter tone for them. Because if they're going to have to go light, they may as well go light, right?
And I think that's something that Arrow. Sorry.
I think that's something they're starting to realize maybe, but it was really like, oh, it's just really dark. They had a bad guy called Damien Dark in that show, man. Damien Dark.
That's the bad guy this season in Arrow now. But the joke is, so Arrow is all trying to go light, and the bad guy is dark. Yeah. No? Yeah, okay. So
that's what they call subtext.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's not something. I mean, the CW has always had its light tone. It's always had its teen drama angle. I mean, I think every single show on the CW since its inception, like 10 years ago. No.
Yeah.
Was it 10 years? About 10 years ago.
CW.
Yeah. It used to.
A little bit longer.
No. So it was WB and UPN joined together to form the CW. So it was around the time that Angel ended, and then Smallville moved over, things like that. But a lot of it's sort of reminiscent, again, of Buffy and Smallville, and even Angel. And Supernatural, I think, was one that moved over as well.
That's an interesting thing that you bring those up as well, because they are so closely linked in a certain way.
Absolutely.
Like, you were talking about the changing of the Meteor Freaks to the Phantom Zone. One thing I really like about Flash is that they do have like a source for the baddies, like it's good fun, like that. And I feel like the same thing kind of happens with that's from Buffy essentially, where it's like we're on top of the Hellmouth. That's where all these demons are coming from. The Supernatural kind of like stretches it a little bit because it's a bit more road movie. But Angel does exactly the same thing, you know, when they have the powers that be, Marshall and Dark and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like Marshall and Dark.
No, it's the Rams and it's the 3M, Hart and Wolfram and Hart.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, Wolfram and Hart.
Yeah, I think that's nice. Like those kind of like plot generators, I think are really cool. I think it's a good thing to have.
I'd also like that in the Flash, especially in the first season, it was at least linked to the same way that he got his powers.
Yeah,
you know, and you've at least got that sort of aspect going for you.
So let's talk about bad stuff in these shows, like because as you know, I hate most things. So
well, wait, before you go on, I just wanted to address one more thing because you said that they don't go dark. You haven't seen the second season of Arrow. You've only watched parts of the first. That's right.
No. I didn't say they don't go dark. I said they try to go dark, and they are unable to convincingly portray this.
Okay. Well, I think that the second season of Arrow, with the way that they use Slade Wilson, that they do end up actually going pretty dark. Lots of death, lots of consequences.
But then everyone just gets like healed again, right? Spoilers.
No. People die. Like 3 main characters at least are killed flat out that season.
But they don't come back.
And they don't come back.
Well, what about Sarah Lance?
So she doesn't die that season. Well, she sort of does. I guess she comes back that season, but it's different. She comes back in the past. She dies and comes back. That's like her character thing. Okay. But like, so...
Told ya.
So spoilers,
they don't know about consequences.
Moira Queen,
can't deal with it.
Shadow, and I swear there's one more. Maybe a couple of people in the past. But what is that? Are you hiding behind your shirt?
My jumper, yeah. I don't agree with you. I really think that they try desperately to portray something dark, and they're unable to because they're so obsessed with the teen drama romance side of it.
I think that's
it really made me laugh.
I think that was the failure of last season.
The thing that really made me laugh in The Flash is when Caitlin spends like half of the first series pining after her fiance. He comes back and then immediately leaves to go and like just go do like admin, and she never talks about him ever again. Every now and again she looks at a photo of him, but that's about it.
It's even worse in the second season. He dies-ish, and then Jay Garrick comes in.
Well,
I know, spoilers, but it's like her romance with Jay Garrick feels very forced and like perfunctory.
But it's not like she has Ronnie anyway, right? Because they can't afford to have him on screen, apparently. They just can't afford to have him in the show.
Which is weird.
Speaking of Ronnie, he actually gets the worst CGI nod, I think. He's worse than Grodd overall.
Yeah.
There's a bit when he lands and he's like... his neck's like stretching around. It's because they can't match the CGI actor with the actual actor. So they have to like move shit around. It doesn't quite work out. And they also reused that shot in the series finale, the one before the series finale, which just makes it...
kind of weird.
Kind of shitty. That's one of my things I don't like about it. It's bad. I also think it's got quite a generic visual identity. And part of the problem with that is that they have to keep it being procedural because it's CW. I really do wish with these shows that they could just run them for like event miniseries, you know, like
yeah.
I guess that's also like a British thing because it's like I'm used to there only being 6 episodes of something and it actually like having plot.
Well, no,
being like.
I think that the success of Daredevil and Jessica Jones and even Agent Carter shows that you can do specifically these kinds of shows very successfully in these short sort of miniseries. I think that's partly what they're trying to do with Legends of Tomorrow. But Arrow and Flash are such a cash cow; they'll never.
Shorter run.
Yeah, I think it's 12 episodes, maybe 8, but it's short.
I think they extend. So Daredevil was 13 episodes. I mean, that's not exactly what you'd call a short run in the UK, even then.
No, but it's definitely shorter than what you usually get in the US. And it was also, it wasn't procedural. You know, those shows were not procedural shows. I think that's what their success is.
Flash fully does not have, like, 16 episodes worth of plot.
No.
Sorry, 23 episodes of plot. It doesn't even have 16 episodes of plot, really. It's like, yeah, I'm not really sold.
So since we keep bringing it up, did you watch Smallville? Were you a fan?
Yeah, of course. I watched it up until he moved to Metropolis. So I watched like the actual Smallville, as it were.
Right. So I think that the series kind of cuts itself in half. There's Smallville, and then there's what I like to call Metropolis, which is season 6 through 10.
I dipped in, you know, in the Metropolis stuff. I love Justice Society, so when they had those people, I was like, ooh. Yeah, it was cool, but like, not necessarily great. It really went deep into the kind of like soap opera shit as well, I feel. And that was where they were really pushing against the limits of their budget and unable to deliver really on the edge of that. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Smallville had the same issue where it really didn't have enough plotline for as many episodes as it had each season. Like there wasn't really an arc, which is why they kept on going to like the new heroes by the end of it. And really, like, Clark stopped being the main character by the time you got to the 7th or 8th season. What?
My sister's coming to say hello. Hey, what's up? I'm currently broadcasting live on the internet, discussing a show.
What's up?
Here she is. Look, there she is. What are we chatting about? What's going on? Probably not right now. Yeah. All right.
Cool. Just checking.
All right.
He's chilling outside.
Come on, buddy. Come in. Come on.
Was Max joining us?
I'm just sitting outside. Yeah, he's sitting outside. He's wagging his tail. He's looking happy about it.
No.
Okay. Come on, buddy.
It's going to be a pugcast.
Okay.
Let him settle.
Oh.
We can't hold it.
There we go. Now he's
there. He is.
There he goes.
Everyone's favorite pug.
Yeah, I've got to close the door. Righty, so let's carry on chatting.
Right. So I think what I was saying was, you know, Smallville definitely never had enough overarching plot to do anything, and I think, you know, today the one that's really like the worst offender is Supergirl, which I don't know if you've even started, but they introduced.
I feel no need to watch Supergirl.
Yeah, it's not that good, but they introduce like what's clearly meant to be the overarching villain in like the 2nd episode, and then she disappears for 7 episodes. She disappears for long enough for me to have believed, oh, she was just a villain of the week. And then when she comes back, it's like, okay, so is she now the arc villain? Did they just decide that? Were they like picking which one worked best? And I think Smallville had a lot of that too, where it was like a lot of just, you know, freak of the week, not really anything pushing forward, and it just sort of kept falling flat.
Like one of the more subtle problems I think with the Flash is it's like quite related, where they're like, how do I put it? They're so invested in their villains' motivations being mysterious that ultimately they never become interesting. Because you're just like, I don't really know. Fawn keeps talking about this thing that happened, but I don't know. I don't know what that thing is. You know, it's not really interesting to me. And because I already know his identity right from the start, like from the first episode, it's hard to really remain compelling during that period. Yeah, basically. I feel like the Arrow had a similar problem, at least in its first series, the only series I watched, where they kept on talking about that thing that was going to happen. Yeah. Promise that'll happen by the end, but it never did it? Like, it just kept on, almost happening. Yeah,
and I think that Arrow's... The worst thing is that Arrow's still hasn't gotten out of that, where each season, the villain has basically, their goal has been, I'm going to destroy Star City. And it hasn't really moved beyond that. Like, the second season ended very similarly to the first in a lot of ways. And the third season did too. And now this season is clearly, even much more clearly, moving towards that same place. And it's sort of, can't we get a villain with a different motivation, especially if it's the arc villain? And can't we just get something, it's even like the mid-season finales are all someone dies, or did they?
That's what I kind of felt about The Flash, because I'm like, we all love Captain Cold. We all think he's really compelling. Why do you have to have like a big baddie? And that's kind of Joss Whedon's fault that we have that. It's this kind of assumption that there needs to be some kind of huge problem. Because arguably, like, there are other arcs apart from something bad is going to happen to the city.
True.
There's arcs like coming to terms of your power. But the problem is that stuff like that is much harder to tell over 23 minutes. 23 episodes. 40
episodes, yeah. I mean, I think that... I'm glad you brought that up, because I do agree that in Buffy, they do that every season, except for the sixth season. Within the sixth season, it's much more about, like, Willow dealing with her growing powers.
The baddie of that is Buffy's depression.
Yeah.
Baddie in the sixth series.
It's Buffy dealing with coming back to life. It's Willow dealing with her growing powers, and then eventually the loss of Tara. And it's not really, like, you could argue that the trio is the overarching villain, but even they don't really get introduced until midway through the season. It's a much more interesting season. Now, whether or not that works for it or not, but at least it is one of the first seasons that the inventor of the Big Bad didn't use a Big Bad.
Yeah. Well, I guess, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I want something more compelling. I want Breaking Bad of superheroes. Have you heard about Legion?
Legion, no. Oh yeah. The X-Men show.
X-Men series. Come on.
That sounds like that just sounds like a procedural, though.
Yeah, possibly, but they're saying that it's only a 6-episode order, as far as I know.
Okay.
So they're saying it's going to be like quite drama based, which I'm like,
that'd be good.
Good.
I mean, I think the closest thing we've gotten to the Breaking Bad of superhero shows is Daredevil.
Yeah.
I mean, especially visually.
Yeah, well, just in terms of actual, like, the plot as well, essentially, right?
Yeah. Hey.
Great. So is that what you want to talk about today?
Mostly. I mean, I also wanted to talk a little bit about how, like, we kind of already touched on it, how Buffy kind of led into the gap for Smallville, and how ever since Smallville, it's sort of been the model to copy in all these shows of even if it's not the childhood of these superheroes, it's, sort of playing the origin of them up over their actual whatever. So it's Barry is just starting off being a superhero versus whereas in Lois and Clark, it's very much about Superman being established already in that way.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And
that. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
One thing that really confuses me in The Flash is how it's always like, how fast can he run? And he keeps running faster, and that's like this big thing. But surely, like, you just run faster? Isn't that just how that works? Like, I didn't think it was something you had to train for as such.
Yeah, that's something that's, especially this season, is becoming a really big deal. It's like, how fast is Barry, and how he's, like, faster or slower than whoever. And Zoom is the big bad of this season. It's another speedster. It's sort of like,
Yeah.
what does it matter?
Melty face Flash.
Sorry?
Melty face.
Yeah, melty face Flash. And it's sort of like,
Yeah.
I get that it's just like there's a point at which, I think it was especially when he was fighting Reverse Flash in the first season, where it's like, I had no concept of one of them being faster or slower than the other. Like, it didn't really make a difference. They're both really fast. Like, there's a certain point where I just can't really conceptualize he's super fast, but he's even faster. And, like, there's things that Zoom does that it's like, well, can't the Flash also do that? Like, I don't understand why the Flash isn't capable of that.
Seems to kind of change their minds about how much he can actually do episode to episode.
Yeah, it's very
he phases
inconsistent.
through stuff, and then, like, Barry phases through stuff, and then you're like, but if you can, then why don't you do that more consistently? Because I can think of several bits of where that would be quite useful.
Yeah, or like there's times when he uses the Sonic Punch, and it's like it feels like it's a special move that he did a couple times, and now it's just becoming so regular that it's like I think they're even using the same shots of him running out and turning around and coming back, and it's just like it's a cool move, but it's not really.
When do you reckon they'll learn to do the infinite mass punch?
Probably the end of this season as it's going.
From Grant Morrison's JLA run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Very excited.
What do you reckon? I don't fucking care. Fucking hate superheroes. They're just fascist male power fantasies. Good boy.
Talk about Supergirl. That's all.
Is it a fascist male power fantasy?
Well, I think it's a lot of.
I think the Flash, despite its light tone, basically is like a huge. It's like, you know what's good? Black Ops prisons.
Well,
it's like, forget trials.
Yeah, Supergirl's even worse because there's like the prisoners from the Phantom Zone. So it's like basically like they have their own Guantanamo Bay kind of prison, and like.
Yeah, I guess at least Star Labs is on American soil.
Yeah, and the other thing about it though is that Supergirl, she's not like, how like Barry's the leader of the team. In Supergirl, she's not the leader of her team. Like there's another, like she works for a general basically. She works with the whatever the DOA or DOD or
DEA.
DEA, yeah. DEO, that's the one. And it's just not that like it's sort of like she's sent on missions. It's more like if Supergirl was like almost like a special ops kind of resource.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, the Max is really distracting me, but I do love it. It's making for some compelling watching. Do we have any? Is anyone out there? Anyone watching? Do we have any viewers at the moment who want to jump in and comment? Okay.
There is no one watching. No one is currently watching this.
All right.
What we've managed to do here is this like wonderful new internet thing, which is like shouting in the dark. It's just like spreading your opinions without any kind of like focus or care. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna plug the Patreon
Sweet.
to the darkness.
Let's plug the Patreon to the darkness. We're making a Patreon. It's patreon.com/AP2HYC. David, thank you for supplying the link. You're going to post in a second.
I'm posting it in a second.
You could get a piece of original art for $2 a month, which is £1 for all you savvy UK spenders out there. What that gets you is early access to videos, credits, like names in the credits, and a piece of original artwork from a independent artist. What they're going to be doing this year, what our kind of theme is super sweet 16 birthday parties of famous superheroes that are like kind of coming out that month. So we've just done Legends of Tomorrow, and then our next one is
Deadpool, and it's
Motor Mouth and
sorry,
the Merc with the Motor Mouth. Deadpool.
Absolutely, with a very very funny image from our friend Sajan Ra, or I don't know how to say his last name. Raj?
Right?
Sajan.
Yeah.
From Sajan,
yeah.
Who we love. And,
It's going to be flipping great, is my opinion on it, because I've seen the art and it's fantastic, and I love his stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so...
And we're turning it into a t-shirt, too.
Fun.
It's awesome. You can still get the t-shirts on Patreon too.
The problem with holding your pug hair in my mouth. So if you want to fund like independent comics reviews and like publicity for comics Kickstarters and things, as well as this kind of lovely video content that we make, you can see my edited video on the YouTube channel as well, which we posted next. Then just hit the old like on the Patreon. You know, it's less than, I think it's free Freddos you could get for the same amount of money. So if you can
good value,
manage
guys.
to live without free Freddos, we value you.
Yeah.
Okay. David, before I go, anything that you're doing for Burns Night, which will be on Monday?
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what Burns Night is?
No.
Do you know who Robbie Burns is?
The poet?
Yeah, the poet.
Okay.
It's a Scottish holiday where you celebrate the life of him on his birthday. So basically, what you do is you have one of two traditional Scottish soups, which will be cockaliki, or for me, because I'm doing my Burns Night tonight, it will be Scotch broth. Scotch broth is like barley and like root veg in a lamb stock.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. And then the haggis comes in, you play it in with the pipes, and then there's a poem that Burns wrote about the haggis. And you slice it open at the right point, and the strength of the haggis, because its skin kind of like tightens around it as you cook it, it'll like squirt out all the kind of haggis all over the plate. And then you eat the haggis, and you do your poetry, and then you have a toast to the lassies, which is like, one of the men stands up and talks about the women on the table, but just generally talks about like kind of current affairs and stuff. And then one of the women stands up and does the response to the laddies, which is like one of the women just basically like makes fun of one of the men and then talks about current affairs. You do a couple of bits of poetry, you have some cheese and cakes. You have Tipsy Lord, which is like trifle with whiskey in it. And then you usually sing Auld Lang Syne, and then everyone's wasted by that point.
Sounds like a good time.
Exactly my kind of holiday. And you say the Selkirk Grace as well.
Awesome.
Which opens the meal. Some hae meat and canna eat, and some would eat that want it. But we hae meat and we can eat, say let the Lord be thank it. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yep.
Do you get that?
A little bit.
Okay, good. Well, there you go. That's pretty much how I feel about the whole thing. I'm going to send you a Snapchat later on. I'll be holding my haggis like a baby. My haggis in one arm and my other haggis in the other arm.
Exciting. I'm very excited.
A fond kiss.
All right. I'll blow Max a kiss. I think he caught it.
Okay, guys. Thanks
All
very
right.
much for watching.
Yeah.
The two of you who did.
Don't forget
David, this has been an absolute pleasure.
As always.
And I'll be seeing you for Deadpool on the 12th.
And LSCC on the 21st. Which is probably where we will record our next podcast with interviews with people. Yeah, isn't that what's happening?
That sounds like a great idea. That's pretty cool. We should live blab from like a pub.
Absolutely. We will.
Wait, LSCC, is that done?
That's the Excel.
Okay, cool. God, I hate that. There's never a good pub near there. Oh,
well, we may have a plan for that, though. Remember?
What?
We'll talk about it off air. I'll stop recording.
What?
Okay. Bye, guys!
Bye!